So welcome to the Yukon in North 61. I went to a garage sale today and looking at my old books. Here's a Song in the Paddle. He talks about the great Optimus 111. When I bought my first stove, I made the right choice with the Optimus 111, although it's a bit heavy for backpacking. It's a rugged piece of machinery, fast for boiling water, simple to operate, has good stability, and requires only basic maintenance. Unfortunately, it sounds like a Boeing 747 on takeoff. Mine operates on white gas. The pressurized pump is built in. Priming paste is recommended for priming the stove before starting. This is true of all white gas and kerosene stoves. Now the 111s, and Cliff Jacobson also talks about the 111. He talks about the 111B, which is the gas model. So at a garage sale this morning, I came across this baby. So zoom in here. This is an Optimus 111. This is an Optimus 111, and it's made in Sweden. And you can see the little label there. It says for kerosene. So let's take a look at the inners, because we're going to find a couple of other little nice little things here. So it's got documentation. It's got priming paste. The documentation is going to give us some clues about it. It comes with an extra burner. So let's take that burner out. And let's take a look at the original burner. And let's just spread it out. This is how it operates actually. It's got a flame spreader and a windscreen. And you can count 1, 2, 3, and 4 vaporizing tubes. When you see 4 vaporizing tubes, because kerosene is hard to vaporize, it needs these 4 tubes to actually vaporize the kerosene. Inside there it's got the kerosene jet, and there's a couple of other clues. When I take this cap off, the smell inside, there's no smell of fuel. When I take a look at the color of this, it's got that kind of rose color, the brass. And when I take out the pump, even though it's been in storage for years, it's still got a little bit of lubricant on it. If there is fuel in this container, or if it has had fuel, it's unlikely that this is still going to be in that kind of condition. It's likely going to be quite dry. This has a non-return valve, which is a simple spring and a little pip. And for kerosene, it's totally adequate. Some people say for gas, it's a little dangerous because it's possible for that little pip to erode, and then you get little gas fumes going in here, and you've got to make sure that that's in good condition. So that's the only tricky part about this stove. So this stove, in my professional opinion, as a long-term stovey, is unfired. So basically brand new. This has got 2 tubes. So this is likely a gasoline burner. So it came with a second burner. That's quite unusual. And it's got number 206B burner gas. We've got the Optimus paste, which would have come right from the company. That might have been a later addition. We've got these wonderful old directions for the Optimus 111, made in Sweden, and that tells you exactly how to run it. And taking a look at this does not look like it's had a lot of extra use, so this looks basically, again, gives me an idea that this is an unburned stove. And it comes with this, which is just the extra mojo that made me have to buy it. Stove provided with survival kits. The stove provided with survival kits contains instructions on the use of and how to light a stove using kerosene. And then it talks about experiments carried out by the Department of National Defense in Yellowknife. So this was used in northern survival kits. So this was somehow put in a kit, never even burned, but used as a survival kit. And this is a piece of Swedish history, this is a piece of Canadian history. So where would the National Defense have used these kits? There's a few dents in it. There's one little dent here, so it might have got dropped at one point. So it may have been carried, but it's never been used. So unlike a lot of my stoves, I'm a collector that generally uses. I'm never gonna fire this stove. This is unfired. I bought it at a garage sale. For the person who knows what this is a real piece of history here. So this was used at National Defense. This is a piece of issued gear, and I've got all the documentation to kind of show that. And I'm going to look up A.P. Abbott and find out who A.P. Abbott was. Let's see if I can find any records about who A.P. Abbott was, who typed this out, these directions out for this stove. Okay, in 1927, the Optimus made the 11, which was very much like the 111. But in 1953, on the 11, they put a little self-cleaning needle, and they called it a 111. So 1953 is when it started. By the year 2000, had a good long run. You could no longer get the Optimus 111. They changed to the Cobra burner on the 111C. So here's a 111C hiker. So by the year 2000, late 90s, they were no more. Also, in 1970, Down But Not Out, which is the Royal Canadian Air Force survival manual, the stove that was in wide use at that time was the Optimus number 96 by the Canadian Forces. So probably sometime between probably in the 70s, when the Cold War was still rolling along, was when that 111 was added to some northern survival kits. That's my best guess. And it's pretty cool that I've got issued one from probably that era. Beautiful piece of machinery. So I'm going to go put this away, but I'll show you some old video of, I've got the 111. I bought my 111, which is the kerosene stove. I got it from Norway. I had to spend a lot of money to get it actually shipped here, but I got the stove fairly cheap. I have some 111Bs. I got those all cheap. They're now selling for $200 plus on eBay. So what's the value of this stove? I would say this is a $400 unit here with all this documentation for the right collector. And he wasn't giving it away at the garage sale. I bought it for $100. But I think for the right collector, this is a $400 stove. Because it was $100, it was there, even though, like Whitehorse, he said 10 o'clock start. People started showing up at 8:30. I don't do that. If somebody says 10 o'clock, I come at 10. I try to respect people, but you know, that's not the way things are normally done. So you sometimes get beat out of stuff. But because he had a fairly high price on this, I was able to get it. I said, I know the value of this stove. I'm not going to dicker. He said, that's okay. I wasn't going to dicker with you anyway. So, and then he had some Taiwanese stoves for $80 that are worth probably $50. So this was the pick of the meat. So I'm really, really pleased about that. But just look at that. That's an unfired stove. If I were to fire this up, I'd instantly cut the collector's value in probably half. So I'm not going to bother doing that. I don't usually collect stuff just to look at it. But in this case, because of this extra Canadian kind of history angle, and because I've got users, I'm going to proudly display this as a real great piece of Canadiana, and maybe I'll put these pieces in plastic so that they don't get ruined. So, hey, thanks for watching. We're making breakfast on our 111. We brought two of these 111s. This is the 111T. It's my favorite of the 111s. It simmers like a son of a gun. So we're making some bannock and bacon.